5:02, we'll call this meeting to order as, we'll start with the, pledge allegiance. Mr. Kennedy, do you want to do that?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, do we have any public comments? None? Okay, so none. We're gonna move on, I guess we're gonna be reviewing a few different topics today. Artificial intelligence, charter school authorization, charter school oversight, and the district technology plan. We're gonna start with the artificial intelligence.
So thank you for coming today. I wanted to bring to you some recommendations from the California School Board Association for updates or completely new board policies. I created a summary that I placed in there also for you to look at because there's quite a few changes. The first one is artificial intelligence. That was approved by the CSBA on June 1st of this year. And it is student-centered. They want to be sure that the AI should be used to personalize and enhance the learning experience. They want to be sure that it is staff-centered in the sense that it's not taking the job or responsibilities away from the staff. They want to be sure that there's professional development that is offered to the staff so that they know how to incorporate it and to enrich the lessons. They want to be sure that all students have access to it. They want to be sure that it is public for the community, that they know how the AI is going to be used at the school sites and what is permitted and what is prohibited while using AI. And just that, we continually look at what is happening with AI and be sure that we keep it current for students and staff. So that kind of summarizes everything that was part of the new AI board policy. Any questions?
I don't have anything.
When you mentioned that we're gonna try to ensure that all students have access to AI, is that providing them personal devices while they're inside the classroom, like a
Right.
computer or something?
So we have, our schools are one-to-one devices. So just making sure that the students have that access, because we want to be sure it's equitable for everyone.
I know we're dealing with the same issues with AI in the college realm, all the students are turning AI paperwork and we're trying to find a way to bridge that gap as far as ensuring that they're understanding learning as well as using the technology that's there for them.
Right.
All right, so it's a big challenge, but do we have anything in place now or is this all brand new?
It talks about how to properly use technology and everything, but specific to AI, no, this is really new. So this is the first time that there's been a board policy specific for AI.
Dr. Chairman, you may know this. Are students now, are they citing AI like we do in the college level?
It really depends on the teacher. Some teachers are really against AI.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and others are using it to enhance,
Right.
like to do letter writing. I don't know if they're using it for sites in the classroom, like in social studies when they're doing, like I'd have to check with the teacher. So there hasn't been anything uniform for sure, because it's just so new. And I think even the policy will be helpful, but our first start probably as a district to support staff would be to do staff training first on what that looks like and how we want to implement it.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're doing at the college level. There's so many trainings on AI and how to integrate it into your classroom
Yeah.
while still keeping integrity as far as academic integrity.
Yeah, which is gonna be interesting.
It is.
For sure.
It is.
And Dr. Chairman, I was gonna mention, I underlined the professional development piece, which I think is gonna be critical. We could, preface that, whether it's gonna be the spring PD, the fall of 26 PD, the new policy, CSBA, and to, help to support rather than, take over staff duties and responsibilities, and then provide, parameters and best practices when it comes to AI and student use.
Yeah, I think we could look at the March PD.
Okay.
There's some actually books written that Acton has put out that are specifically for educators. So maybe we want to take a look at some of that and just kind of go, just dig into it and see like, how is it relevant? Does it fit here to help support our staff?
You can expect that at the first read, I will have questions about whether there's been association discussion about this.
Okay,
With Ada?
Yeah.
Ada's looking at.
Which will be a call to if there's a problem with rolling this out, then hop up to the microphone or table this and get it out of the way, but I'll ask that both times.
okay.
Yeah. I think the issue or just a concern too is without moving forward with something like this, kids are using it. And it's, I mean, teachers are using it too, we use it. And so it's like, and even putting a policy in place and even providing staff training is gonna help support what our vision is around it. But still, people will sometimes work outside that, so at least we're trying to like set some parameters as to what would be appropriate for our students and their learning.
It's not going away anytime soon.
No, it's
I think
not.
we all live by
No.
it now. I mean, it's just the way, it's just advancing technology. It's the
No, it's,
way of the future.
yeah,
It's here to stay.
I know at least with my courses in the college level, I'm doing more presentations now just to make sure they grasp the concepts, you know, because the days of writing papers are, you know, that's done. I'm putting the chat GPT, I'll write you a whole 3-page, 4-page paper with sites and your experience into the paper. So it's kind of like, well,
if you don't prompt it, you can, haven't used it that much, but I know
it's
people who use it for all kinds of, I mean, my son uses it for all kinds of reports in the demo world.
and it's a great way to learn something fast.
Yeah.
If you can harness that in a way where they can learn fast.
Cause it gives you all the
Yeah.
information, yeah, it's super interesting and.
I didn't realize it gave you citations and
It will
everything.
put in-text citations, it'll give you the
Wow.
reference page, I mean, it'll do everything. And it learns off you, so if you have specific experiences, it's gonna put that into the question you're trying to answer. So if you got like a discussion post or whatever, it's gonna relate your experiences, so it looks like it's coming from you, but it's all AI. Now, there's some things that you can tell because of the robotic way it talks, but there's some prompts that you can use to be able to disrupt that. When you say, don't be stilted, or don't do this, or don't put dashes, you can do it in a way where it's, or you can make some mistakes, put a few errors in.
Oh.
So, kids are getting smart.
So when you have students turn in things that may be generated that way, you run it through programs to, is it
Well, here's the thing,
overcoming those programs?
no,
It,
I
they
mean,
can still
yeah.
get caught doing
no,
that,
you
cause
don't. So we turn it in, I'm sure you're familiar with that.
we use turn it in too, cause I know our high school teachers, that's gonna be one of
And
the
it's looking
things.
for plagiarism, so if it's not,
Right.
this is original work that ChatGPT is putting out. So what it does is you can have programs that can see if it's robotic in its voice, but for our policies, even at USC and at ABC, we can't accuse any student of using AI. We tell them to cite it, but if I get a post that this kid's 18 years old, and I know you don't write like that, right? I can't accuse them of using AI at all. I just gotta grade the paper.
But turn it in won't, does or
Nope,
doesn't?
Nope, does not.
It doesn't pick it up.
Doesn't pick it up.
Yeah.
You
And
can
there
write a
are-
whole page paper on AI and it'll say like 6% or 7% just because it cites. This is original work. You can't, it's not, you're not gonna be comparing to nothing.
Right.
That's interesting.
But some students make the mistake of putting the prompt there and saying, ChatGPT prompt, so then you kind of know.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
they forget to take that out.
And the students know that. They know, at least in the college function, that you can't accuse
Yeah.
them of using AI.
I think the quicker we get everyone to understand, if you were gonna pay to go to USC and you're going to learn nothing, and you're gonna end up with $200,000 of student debt and be functionally unemployable in the work environment that I work in, I don't use it, I write my reports. But after 20 years and certain criteria that come with that, it's developed into, it's basically cut and paste, change the street name, change the numbers, change the fiscal impact. But I think it's getting to the point where, you know, if you wanna run up student debt and be functionally unemployable in the work environment, that's on you. We're not here to make you honest.
And that's why you offer them still competency tests that you can use no, program. Here's a form and a answer sheet. Now I know if you know the concept or not.
Right.
You can do whatever you want to learn the concepts, but at the end of the day, you gotta take a test. Or you have to stand up, like a lot of professors are making you stand up and give a presentation on a topic. So then either you know or you don't. Well, that's the outcome of everything, right? The outcome is, do you understand the material?
Right.
I mean, interesting, if teachers move more to that format, I mean, honestly, for me to get up and speak and do a presentation, I have learned the material better, but now I'm retelling you. I mean, for learning overall, that would be a good thing, but that's if everybody does that, but,
And,
right, like,
and that actually can help many students, because some
Mhm.
students are not good at the test taking, but they do understand the material. So they are better at presenting and being able to explain it to you, but to take a test, especially those English learners,
Mhm.
that would actually be better for
Yeah,
them.
or sometimes students with disabilities too, they're really good at the verbal, they're just not good at that cognitive.
That's what I do with my
Yeah.
students, I give them three options, they can write a 2-page paper, a PowerPoint presentation, or they can do a 5-minute video talking about the concepts.
Oh, that's.
If you're
really
talking
cool.
about it, I know you're gonna retain it.
Right.
Yeah,
Even if you're reading it from a teleprompter, you're still reading it to yourself, you're telling.
yeah,
Yeah, but we have teachers at Vasquez, for instance, right? Not gonna single anybody out, but Miss Owens,
Mhm.
for English.
I already knew he meant.
Yeah, and so, she uses different modalities with the students to say, okay, well, present, what you've learned. So whether it's gonna be a video presentation, or presentation, visual presentation, she does that.
Yeah.
So, they're
The
responsive
options are there, yeah.
to, artificial intelligence. So
Yeah.
appreciate Ms. Owens and the rest.
Definitely.
Alright, so moving on, we have regulation 0420.4. Again, from the California School Board Association, which is charter school authorizations. We had it last updated and board approved in March of 23, and then this is a new policy again that just came out June 1st. All of these are policies that came out June 1st of this year. And they've added a new section where basically the charter schools now have to do the local control accountability plan, the LCAP, same as the districts. They want to be sure that they're being held to that standard also. And they need to be sure that they're addressing the needs of English learners, students with disabilities, foster youth, and students experience homelessness or disadvantaged students. So same as any other district has to do. They have to develop a safety plan, just like districts that have to be updated by March 1st of every year. They need to now have a procedure for enrollment as to how they're going to select students, and that has to be public. It's not like it's something internal, that's like a secret. It has to be out there for everyone. They've added information about what if you're gonna suspend a student? How does that work? How do you do it? And it's where they have to give a 10-day notice to the student and family, and the students have an opportunity to respond before it actually takes place. So those are some of the changes. They also want to be sure that they're being operated as nonprofits. Okay, so those are the changes in that one.
Jackie, if I could just chime in as well.
Yes.
Just happy to report that, our 11 authorized charters do submit their LCAP, the local control accountability plan, to my attention.
Mhm.
And then I share that along with Nisha Pattison, our coordinator or director for charter services, and they provide their school safety plans as well. So happy to report that the procedures and protocols have been in place.
We ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I am concerned whenever there is blending going on. And by blending, I mean, I hold myself out as an educational institution
Mhm.
of one configuration or another. And at the same time, I seem to be the equivalent of LACO over, most people don't understand this, but when we take on charter authorization, we become LACO,
Correct.
okay? LACO has a whole fourth floor of charter school oversight staff. We have one person. And I don't know how many county authorized charter schools there are. And charter schools that are within a district, that's a whole different world. But here's my problem. For example, we had a charter here that had a sponsor of a high school being a district over there. Okay, so then they opened up a feeder school, and the rooms that we see now being populated by our own kids used to be rented to charters, and there were different ones.
Mhm.
And there were actually no students in the room, but those rooms weren't big enough to hold X number of students. So the claim would be, we are too full at the Acton site. So now we need to go into Riverside and San Bernardino, and that was the game. Now, what ended up happening is when you start blending authorizers, let's say Hart has authorized the charter, and we authorize the charter, and Lancaster authorizes a charter, and these all function within the same umbrella or brand name of school. What ends up happening is you'll find that if somebody is doing all of the administrative function and providing services, there's different boards, and you'll find that this one board up here that holds itself out as maybe providing virtual online services is actually back charging these people. And what this stems from is there was a law that there was private aspect, which in fairness, this is like us subcontracting out to say a payroll service or the legal services for the district. Now, school districts do it all the time, and for some reason, there's some bias that stops charters from doing the exact same thing, which I don't agree with. But what you were seeing was there was this idea that because I started the charter in my garage, and I have a tear-jerking story about how my kids weren't being, special needs and all this, and it morphs into this idea that I'm the founder of the charter. And when it's funded by public funds, no one cares if you're the founder of the charter. You have a function to play and a role to play. And you'll hear me asking, is there duplication of positions that exceed more than 40 hours for one person? In other words, am I getting paid full ride principal over here and here and here? So when I see charters coming in being authorized, and one of them is holding itself out as the backup services, what that is, it's a remedy for when they split it up and said you can't have private ownership anymore. So without getting to a great a level of detail, you saw me want to give someone 2 years instead of 5. And if you look what's going on in the background of that particular charter, I wasn't going to give them, and it gave them time to clean up whatever was going on there. There's another one right now that has just, I wasn't here for a number of meetings. That one only got a no vote from me because there's blending going on. We've got at least 2 districts that I know of, and if one starts to have trouble, then it becomes easy to shift into this one and do fund balance transfers. And I got a very concerning email where somebody was telling me as a board member why I should find this acceptable after the fact when I didn't ask the question, but I did ask questions 2 years ago when the founding members of the charter suddenly disappeared and I couldn't get anybody to come up here and tell me why this wasn't a material revision. So you can expect that when I see blending, staff needs to understand that Paul is not going over to Lancaster to get some money and shift it over here and do that kind of stuff. So when you see blending, I'm gonna dig in on that. And when I don't care what the rules are, I'll be asking for financing because that doesn't cover it. So that'll be my comment on this. There's in the next section, by the way, thank you for putting this together. This is very good. We should make sure that all of this stuff is up on the website, including all the keywords that go with this meeting. There's some people out there that will wanna hear what I had to say tonight. So, in the next one, there's also reference to that in the bullet point right here.
Yes, sir.
So I think that I've made the comments. I'm good then. Thank you.
Okay. So following what you were saying, the next one is the board policy for charter school authorizations. And it talks about the timeline, and we know that there's a timeline from when they present and everything. So again, it's reiterating the timeline. It says that there has to be a public hearing to either grant or deny. It talks about reasons for a denial. So there's specific reasons that it lists that for those reasons you can deny the charter. And it talks about if they're being used as for-profit, if they're a covert, which you touched on, private school, if they serve students at a grade level that is not within the district that is authorizing them. And also for offer of non-classroom based instruction. So there has to be instruction offered in a classroom. If there's not, they can be denied by the district. Yes.
Let me ask you this, serve students at a grade level the district doesn't serve? Does that apply to the kids that go till they're 22?
If they're still within, considered still within the high school, then that they would still be okay. What they're referring to is if you're like Lancaster, a K-8 school district, you can't authorize a charter for a high school.
Got it. So but I'm digging in on this.
Okay.
So I've got a SPED student, and there's been all kinds of claims about how these people cream stuff to have pre-enrollment forms as to, what kind of stories your grandfather told you in his native language, that kind of garbage, ACLU violations. Is there any verbiage, and I'll ask all these questions in open session. Is there anything that says that if we're gonna serve kids to 22, that the charter is also required to do that if the child chooses to enroll in that program? Are they done in the charter at?
If they're special ed, they would still be considered seniors. So I think charters have more leeway than public schools as it relates to serving students with special needs. I mean, I don't know a lot about charters, I don't actually know exactly.
Well, I'm fixing to find out every time
If there's
somebody
a-
comes up there and
Right.
wants me to sign on them, you can expect that to happen. And one that runs a high school and is asking me for a high school and doesn't serve up to 22 for people that qualify, you'll get a no out of me immediately.
In everything that I read, there's nothing that specifically addresses that question that you have. Just to let you know, there is nothing that specifically addresses that.
Maybe if I yell about it enough on YouTube, someone will figure it out.
Yeah.
And we could share this with Ms. Patterson as well to chime in with her network and just to get a little bit more clarity as
Just
it's
like
come up at the board agenda item.
It also gives other reasons for denials, which have to do if the presentation that the charter is giving, the documentation is unsound, there's errors in it. If they haven't met like the minimum requirement of signatures and so forth. So there's very specific things that you look for, that if any of that is missing, again, it would be a denial. And then that one also discusses the appeal process. Because if it is denied, they have an option to appeal. Then we go on to the next policy recommended by CSBA, which is charter school oversight. And this is one that we specifically do not have. We have oversight, but there's not a specific board policy, which is just about oversight. So this would be another one that would be a new policy for us.
It's not a new policy in terms of CSBA.
Right.
providing, But we never had this policy.
Correct.
That's because we had somebody monitoring us on exactly what we were doing and not doing.
So,
This would be like the police car in front of your house every day.
so, and this is something that you touch on when there's ever a charter up for renewal. It talks about the cost, about the 1%. About cost at 3% of the charter's revenue if the district is providing rent-free facilities. It talks about actual cost if the district is assigned to supervise oversight responsibility for the charter by the State Board of Education. So it's very specific about what the district can and cannot.
I have a note about that last one.
Yes.
What that would take is that we would deny the charter. Refuse to authorize it. They would go to LACO. LACO would not authorize the charter.
Correct,
Then they would appeal to the state.
correct.
The state would authorize the charter and force the oversight back on us. That's exactly what that means.
Yes, that is.
This
correct.
does not mean that we can find a way to charge more.
No.
Yeah,
You're right about that.
And speaking of bullet points, bullet point number 2 does not apply to us. USC costs up to 3% of the charter's revenue if the district provides charters rent-free facilities.
Right. That's something we don't, right.
Let's put that out.
That was my next question was about.
yeah, the leash will snap back quickly the minute that stuff starts, you start getting loose and creative with that. Yeah.
And it also talks about technical assistance and intervention if they are identified by the state for technical assistance. Based on their assessment scores of subgroups, then they receive assistance from the county superintendents of schools. So that has to be provided to them.
At whose expense?
That it did not say.
Well, good, I'll ask that in open session.
Like LACO does, it's differentiated assistance.
And they provide it, so it would be at LACO's cost.
Yeah, they would do it through LACO.
Oh,
I
really?
go to those meetings.
The SELPA should take up that model.
And then it also discusses if there's complaints, how the parents or, you know, the people that are attending can file complaints in the process and so forth. Then it talks about if the charter for some reason gets closed, then, you know, what do we have to do? What is the responsibility of the district? Because we need to make sure that the charter is providing information to those current students and previous students, where they need records. Who do they
Files.
contact?
Right.
Exactly.
One of them threw them all in the dumpster at Dulce.
No, that you can't be doing that.
Yes.
So that it specifically speaks to that, and we have to make sure that that is being done so that future students, if they need records, can request them.
So do we keep a duplicate copy of the records at our district?
Yes,
All
they're,
charters?
yes, they're in the storage unit.
Oh,
And we just got an update yesterday, actually, at DO staff meeting,
Did she say like 200 boxes?
she said 20.
Oh, what, a 20?
20.
Oh, man, it was zero. I thought, man, that's a lot
I
of
don't
boxes.
manipulate the policy to make it digital. And
But we can.
That's just
Also.
the district's process. If the district wants to, as the documents come in, scan them and save them
I think we
digitally.
should have them submitted.
Oh, digitally?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we can request that. We can make that a request.
What does Ron say about dumping that into this policy right now?
We can ask them.
Please.
Okay.
Be efficient for, both parties at the end of the day.
Okay. And then the last board policy that I was bringing to you today from CSEA is the district technology plan. The last time it was board approved by the district was 20 years ago, in 2005. So this is a big update. There's been a lot of changes, but it talks, it recognizes that the resources are, again, to enhance the student learning. So we want to be sure it's centered around the student. We need to be sure that it is provided to the students and the staff and that it aligns with the district's goals. So we want it, it's not like something on its own. It needs to align to the district goals, objectives, and our academic standards. We want to be sure that there is a comprehensive technology plan and that it is being reviewed and updated as needed. It's a living document. So we do have one that we need to look at and see what updates need to be made to it. But it wants to be sure that how are the resources being used by the district? How are they available equitably to all students? Are they being used specifically to improve the educational services of the students? Again, going back to AI, what professional development is being offered to the staff? They mention in AI and how is that being used? And we're going to be touching on that because we're looking at that specific board policy. And we need to be sure, they want to be sure that in this plan, it says, how are the students going to learn to be, the skills of digital citizenship, social media, IA literacy, and identifying online misinformation? Because a lot of times it's like, well, where'd you get that? Well, it said it on, online, so it must be true. And it's like, okay, no, you need to, they need to learn how to distinguish between what's factual and what's not. So that is something that we need to look at, and they also want to be sure that the district has something in place on how are you going to prevent, and if it happens, how is the district going to respond to a cyber attack? So what do we have in place for that?
how often are our computers being used now? I mean, is it like
Probably every
maybe
day.
one a day? Oh, really?
All these are all the time.
Oh, they do, okay. They kind of pull it out like it's a book, it's like everybody treated it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
And it also depends on the subject, because some of them, the book per se
Mhm.
is.
Is
digital.
online.
So it's
Yeah,
online.
and a lot of the science, like I can speak to Metalark just walking around. They're doing all kind, every single classroom, and then they do their diagnostic on it, and then they have their iReady intervention lessons, like 40 minutes a week on it. I would say if you walk, even just like it's 1 through 4. Probably half the classes, like you're gonna see technology on probably every single time you just randomly visit a class.
Now, is our hardware old? Is it something that's been updated? I
It
mean,
gets updated.
I know our policy has been updated since 2005. Do we have old computers or they kind of?
No.
Is that grant purchased or is that like?
Say it again?
Is it purchased through grants, through the government, or is it just, we have to?
No, it's a combination, it could be multi-funded, let's say from general funds, it could be from, the E-rates in terms of, what we get back in terms of
That's correct.
what we submit, back. But, the updates, everything is updated, IT department does a fantastic job of taking a look at, what's outdated, what needs to be replenished, what needs to be, put back into the classrooms, even moving into, so many of these bullet points, and I don't want to steal your thunder, Alex, since you're here. But, they're on the cusp of many of these, and moving forward, how to prevent response to cyber attacks. I know, there's platforms in place, in terms of, safeguards. You email the, parameters, you send it to staff in terms of, what is that called? You get a security code, the filter that.
Identification.
The identification piece, improving educational services with the resources, the BenQs, the smart boards. There's been a lot, albeit the policy is not updated, but they're updating every single day.
That's correct.
And a lot of things, in terms of updating the technology plan, we could always take a look at the updated strategic plan for the district, because technology has been embedded throughout, many of the 5 goals.
Yeah, I have an oddball question.
Yes.
Let's say that, and I don't think that this would fall under here. But what happens if the district technology is used improperly?
Well, improperly is inappropriate or being vandalized.
Could I give,
Both of those
or you ask me,
things
for example, thanks so much.
No, I
Let's say that I don't
no, I
like,
don't.
the chairperson here. And I just start getting on there and I start sending out emails that are kind of like iffy, and then the next thing you know, I'm slandering him. And the next thing you know, it's showing up all over the internet, and then Discovery produces, well, this comes from my, so I started a petition over here. And now the footprint of what I've done shows up all over the internet, and then he decides to in my house. Should I repeat that like louder or no? So when you come to that, where you find out when that fits, let me know. I don't think it fits here, but yeah.
I can't cite the policy that we just updated. I think it was late last school year in terms of technology. I have to pull that one, so forgive me, but it was embedded in terms of technology use. And if there's any type of vandalism, and it kind of outlined what does vandalism even mean. It could be, let's say, electronically, sending abusive messages to, whether it's an adult or another student. It could be physically harming the Chromebook or the technology, that the district has the right to actually remove the access to district provided technology.
What I'm to be really clear, what I'm looking for is that there are not petition. I've lived through a lot of this stuff. There's petitions, there's slanderous stuff going on here. And somebody gets enough of it and said, y'all have ruined my career. Where's the district protected in this, and where is it in the policy? Where it was like, you went to work here, you did this, it's right here. You better go hire a lawyer, because we are going to join the plaintiff with our legal resources to go after you.
Are you talking about students?
I'm talking about anybody.
Because at least with students, if they are writing things that are inappropriate or using foul language, it actually, on a very low level as far as you as a student, we get gag alerts on those and can follow up on those.
Well, not that it's ever happened to me, but if you get somebody that's writing calls for resignation while of board members while being a staff member. I'm not big on that. I'm a big boy. I know what comes with it. But I'm concerned about using district technology to spread a slanderous thing that affects someone's employability later.
Yeah, so for
Those have
adults,
really high settlements.
I just wanna chime in, we do have software in place that it will detect, situations like that, and after that, it will alert, staff right away and start or take the action needed, for that.
Thank you very much.
And this is also tied, what you're bringing up is also could be tied to Title IX. Because the violation, depending on what the students,
nature.
the nature, yeah.
I don't see it usually being students.
It applies to the adults.
I mean, I would say like our tech, like when I'm using my computer, none of it's private, it's owned by the district. And I know Alex can go into anything, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I think that's a protection for the district too.
Well, it's district property,
Right.
and if it's ever subpoenaed,
I just want to make sure that
Yes.
the discovery process doesn't turn up something that we're not having in our policy that's pretty much a no-brainer.
legal dictations.
Okay, thank you.
So those are the policies that I brought forth today with recommendations again from the California School Board Association that we need to update. Again, reiterating all of these were approved by CSBA just in June of this year. Any questions or anything?
I'd like to thank staff for your preparation. The briefs are wonderful. And this kind of work supports our ability as lay people to have a competent discussion. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Future meeting agendas.
You're welcome.
I know I mentioned that before you got here, we were just talking about the what's that policy? The phone, mobile cell phone policy. I know it's the first read tonight, but I wanted to bring it back into here so we can clear up some of the language that we were talking about, a little bit confusing. Outside person, I think, is gonna be, and add some more language regarding the time frame of when you confiscate the phone.
Do we table that tonight at the meeting?
Well, like Dr. De Jesus mentioned, it's a first read, the comments can come about, and then,
Cool.
in terms of the addendums, if approved by the board in terms of suggestions and guidance, then we could go ahead and, or as an action item, have that. Would that be a first read again if we?
Yeah, I would
Would be.
think so.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe we should adjust the agenda and explain why.
I would love for her to come back here so we can kind of
Let's do that.
shoot around a little bit.
Let's do that.
So we could table that one as an action item.
So I wrote that one down to be sure to bring back in October.
And,
So we can make those
and
adjustments.
please, when you announce the agenda modification, that the item is being held for review by the policy and management group. That way, everybody knows it's there to, they can jump on here and watch what we're talking about. Cool.
Okay, thank you.
With that, you might have anything else?
I'm good.
Good. What time is it now? 5:40. I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.